So here we are talking about the Byrna CL yet again. The reason that I'm covering this launcher again is because there are new items available for it, new aftermarket parts, new ammunition, things that are starting to come out for it. I think it's still really early on yet. We'll likely see a lot more in the future. The only aftermarket ammunition that I know of is from Less Lethal Ballistics. It's called the Sentinel 61 caliber ammunition. This is a bag of 50. I ordered 100, and that's how you can tell. One way you can tell that these are so early. I got a early adopter bonus of a sample pack of 10. So I haven't even had to open the packs of 100. I'm just testing out with the sample pack here. So that's new. I know AR Tactical, I believe, is working on their own 61 caliber ammunition for the Byrna CL as well, and I'm sure in time there will be lots and lots of options. But this is the only option that I have besides the BurnA branded kinetics, which are around 2.1 grams. These are just over, the Sentinels are just over 5 grams. So quite a big difference in weight there. And the hope is that it will carry more energy and it will carry it farther. So at a distance, these lightweight projectiles are more likely to lose the energy, and the heavier projectiles, the aluminum, will be more likely to carry that energy. Now, I only have the ability to measure muzzle velocity with the yellow button X radar, which is very common. A lot of people use this. In order to test the theory that these rounds will carry energy farther, I would need to test both muzzle velocity and have another chronograph down the line somewhere to measure the velocity farther down as well. But I'm not equipped for that. All I have is something that can read muzzle velocity. So when I shoot this later, I am going to test this ammunition. You'll be seeing just muzzle velocity. Now, another thing that has come out recently are these magazine extensions. I mentioned that I thought it was kind of a con that this is only a 5-round magazine. It does have the ability to retain one in there, so you can get 6 rounds if you're working with just solid projectiles, like these ammunition round, these aluminum rounds, or just these kinetic projectiles. So apparently, if you are working with irritant rounds, which a lot of people would use this as an irritant round launcher, they recommend only loading the 5 into the magazine and not hot loading one into the launcher itself. So five rounds only. But now we have these East Coast Less Lethal magazine extenders. Now, I ordered the orange one, but they were especially kind, and they threw in some extras, including this black. So this will allow you to load up to 8. If you put 8 in there, it's really quite tight. And so one time I loaded 8, one time I loaded 7, and you'll see in the shooting that I tested with one 8-round magazine and one 7-round magazine to compare. Now, these are really easy to install. I didn't have any problems, and I'm not a handy kind of guy. What it is, it's a 3D printed magazine extension that just takes the place of the old base plate that was on there. Now normally you would have a Allen tool for swapping out your CO2 cylinder on the back of the magazine, but they had the forethought to put it on the front so that that won't catch on anything, your pocket or your sling bag or whatever you want to put it in. It's much less likely to catch if it's on the front, and it's just as usable on the front as a tool. So I think that was a great design. And this is metal, by the way. That Allen tool, that's not 3D printed. That bit right there is a metal Allen key, and it's embedded into this 3D printed, what feels like a solid infill. If you're familiar with 3D printing, they're not always solid. You can select how much plastic. It could be 10%, 20%, 40%, whatever. This feels solid to me. I don't know that for a fact, but it feels like they printed it solid, which would make it very durable. It doesn't flex at all. So the quality seems quite good, and I haven't had any issues with them. Another thing that I saw on someone else's YouTube channel was this little Trica T2 Mini tactical light. So let's take a look at that real quick. Now, I didn't have to adjust mine at all. I've already had this out of the box, but this is how it comes. It's just your basic packaging, the light, plus a USB-C charger. Now, I prefer USB-C charging versus one of those magnetic charging cables, because I tend to lose charging cables. But if it's USB-C, I have a million of those, and they're readily available. You can buy USB-C charging cables at a gas station. You know, you can get them anywhere. But finding another one of those magnetic charging cables like the Olights have, they might have a magnetic charging thing on the bottom here, something like that. Now, this is a very inexpensive light. I believe it was somewhere around $35, and you can spend quite a lot more than that on a firearms quality light. Let me show you one here. So on my Pistol X68, which has to make an appearance in every video, and just like the BurnA, I have a Streamlight. It's the TLR7X. Now, that's a firearms quality light. That's upwards of like $130, $140, something like that. And some of them are even more expensive. So, but this is made to go on a firearm, so you know it's going to be able to handle the shock of the firearm recoil. Well, when we're dealing with less lethal launchers, there's not really any recoil, so it totally makes sense to go with a cheaper light. And it's not going to, if you put that on a real firearm, maybe it would have a, short life, I don't know. But the construction is quite good. It's aluminum. It has a quick release lever right here, a quick attach and quick release lever on the side. And I didn't have to adjust it at all. I just put it on there, clamped it down, and there you go. You've got your light attached to your BurnA, and it fits quite well. The only disadvantage to this And the reason why I might not use it is that the switch, or switches, it has two switches, one on either side, is pressed inward like this, instead of the Streamlight, you push forward on it to turn it on. So if I'm carrying this in a sling bag, it's going to have pressure on either side of it. And I worry that that could get turned on accidentally inside a sling bag. So I might not use this particular light on this launcher. This would be more suited, in my eyes, to a nightstand launcher or something like that. Or maybe just a larger launcher that could, maybe it would be larger and protect those little switches a little bit better. I'm not sure, but in my sling bag, I just worry that's going to turn on. So I may not use that for sling bag carry. So it's a Picatinny rail mounting system that should be able to mount to just about anything. And the charging port is under a little rubber flap back there. It's USB-C. So I like that it's USB-C. I don't necessarily love the little rubber flap, and I don't necessarily love that you have to take it off of the weapon in order to access that USB-C charging port. But since it's just a quick release, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. So there's a screw on the other side to adjust it, but I didn't have to use that at all. I just clamped it right on my Byrna CL, and it worked just right. So that's a good option for some people. For me, in a sling bag, it really depends how you're going to carry it. So there's a couple of things that have come out lately. I'm quite pleased with with pretty much all of it so far. I'm going to take this out to the garage now, and I'm going to shoot it and show you some numbers with this Sentinel 61 caliber ammunition. Let's take a look. Now I'm going to test the Sentinel 61 caliber aluminum ammunition from Less Lethal Ballistics. I ordered 100 of them, and they came with an extra set of 10. I have 2 left in here, and then I have 8 of them loaded up in the Byrna CL with the East Coast Less Lethal magazine extension. So here we go with the Byrna CL 61 caliber Sentinel ammunition and the East Coast Less Lethal magazine extension. First try for both of these. So let's see how they go. Now I have pre-punctured, so this first round should be the fastest. .244. .268. So the second round was the fastest. .248. .224. .198. .184. 174. 160. Here we are again with the Byrna CL, Sentinel 61 caliber aluminum ammunition, and an East Coast Less Lethal magazine extension. I have 7 rounds loaded in there, and I've pre-punctured that CO2. Hopefully I got a better puncture on it than I did last time. .284. 262. 246. 234. 216. 204. Down to 182. So I went out to the garage and I tested the Sentinel 61 caliber aluminum ammunition, and the numbers that I got, I put them up on the screen, were lower than the numbers that I got from the BurnA kinetic projectiles. But I had an issue. Now, I want to put a couple of these up close to the camera to show you. Let's see if I can get way up in there. Now, on these rounds, there are groove marks now. After being shot through the launcher, can you see those groove marks? They're quite pronounced. You can feel them with your fingernail. There's definitely something dragging, something making that mark. Those are not impact marks. I know that because I was shooting into a target tent filled with moving blankets. So it was a very, very soft target. These have been shot twice, all these here, and they have 2 groove marks on them. I didn't notice those grooves the first time, so I reloaded and I shot them again. So these all have 2 groove marks that you can feel with your fingernail. They're quite deep. And I thought something was defective inside my launcher, so I did a test where I then immediately loaded up the BurnA kinetic rounds. And I fired these out of this magazine. I fired these, so all these aluminum rounds that you see here have been fired out of this launcher, and every single one of them has at least 1 groove mark on it. If it was fired twice like these, it has 2 groove marks on it. 2 deep scratches. So to test, in between shooting those, I loaded up some BurnA kinetics, and guess what? They look flawless after coming out of the launcher. There are no scratches, no grooves, nothing on these. So I have a problem where consistently, and I've tried it with the extended magazine, I've tried it with the stock finger groove magazine, all 3 magazines I've tried it with, and every single time I end up with those deep groove marks in these aluminum rounds. Now, I haven't seen anyone else online with that problem, and I'm not sure what to do about it. I suppose I'll contact Glenn Conti, I think his name is. He's the one who runs Less Lethal Ballistics, and see what he has to say about it. Because that's a new phenomenon. I've never seen that before. Maybe there is something wrong with my launcher, I don't know. Or maybe these rounds are just not, maybe they're just slightly oversized. I don't know. But what I will say is that the numbers were not bad. Even though there was some drag going on, the numbers that I got were lower at the muzzle. Remember, I'm only measuring muzzle velocity, and I don't have an extra chronograph down the line to measure the velocity beyond 20 feet or beyond the muzzle, really. So the numbers coming out of the muzzle were a little bit lower, but I was able to get my highest shot with a pre-puncture. I was able to get 18.7 joules. But the averages were lower than with the BurnA kinetics. So it seems logical to me that they would carry the energy better. So it seems logical to me that past 20 feet, these would still be moving faster than these lightweight things. Imagine throwing a ping pong ball as hard as you can. These really don't have much weight to them, whereas these feel much more solid, obviously. So imagine throwing a lead bullet versus throwing a ping pong ball. Which one is going to go further and retain its energy the longest? Well, I think it's going to be these guys, but I have a major problem with them. I don't want to shoot it anymore through this launcher, and this is the only launcher in existence currently that can fire these. So I'd like to know, does anybody else have any kind of a problem with these? They have just come out in the last month or two, I'm not sure, but they're fairly new, and this launcher is fairly new. So I'd really like to know in the comments if anybody else has issues with these rounds. But other than the groove marks in there, I think the numbers were pretty good. You know, that's just an issue that I'm having. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if anybody else is having that issue. And let me know your numbers. What kind of numbers are you getting with the Sentinels out of the Byrna CL? Alright, thanks for watching.